I'm 101 years old, and for most of my life, I only really ate three things. Not because I was trying to be different, not because I didn't have options, but because somewhere along the way, I stopped listening to everyone else, and I started paying attention to my own body. Doctors didn't like that. My children didn't like that either. They said I was being stubborn. Maybe I was, but I'm still here. When I was younger, people didn't talk about food the way they do now. There were no diets, no charts, no lists of what you should or shouldn't eat. You ate what was available. You ate what your mother made, and you didn't question it too much. That's how I grew up. Simple meals, nothing fancy, nothing calculated, just food. I got married young, had children early. Life became busy very quickly. And like most women back then, I spent more time feeding others than thinking about what I needed myself. You cook, you serve, you clean, you make sure everyone else has eaten. And by the time you sit down, you're not even that hungry anymore. You just eat whatever is left. It took me years to even notice that I wasn't really choosing what I ate. I was just finishing things, leftovers, small portions, quick bites between chores. That becomes a habit without you realizing it. The change didn't happen suddenly, it never does. It was small, quiet, like most important things. I must have been in my 40s when I first started paying attention, not in a scientific way. I didn't read books. I didn't follow advice. I just noticed how I felt after eating certain things. Some meals left me heavy, slow, tired. Others made me feel clear, light, steady. And I remember thinking, why would I keep eating things that make me feel worse? So I started choosing differently, not drastically, just slowly. I began going back to the things I trusted, the foods I had grown up with, the ones that didn't need explaining. Over time, without planning it, I found myself eating the same few things again and again, not out of restriction, out of comfort, out of understanding. The first was simple bread, not the kind you buy wrapped in plastic, real bread, made fresh, soft inside, slightly warm if you time it right. It filled you without making you feel weighed down. It stayed with you. The second was yogurt, plain, sometimes a little sour, sometimes thicker, sometimes thinner. It changed depending on the day, the weather, the milk, but it always felt gentle, easy, like something your body understood without effort. And the third was fruit, whatever was in season, nothing exotic, just what was there, sweet when it was meant to be sweet, not forced, not preserved, just natural. That was it. Not every single day in a strict way, but most days, for years, for decades. People started noticing. At first, it was small comments. You eat very simply. You should try more variety. You're missing nutrients. I would smile. I've learned that smiling makes people less concerned. Then the doctors started. Regular checkups, tests, advice, always advice. You need more protein. You need supplements. At your age, this isn't enough. They weren't wrong, at least not in the way they understood things. They were looking at numbers, charts, standards. I was looking at something else. I was looking at how I felt when I woke up, whether my body moved easily, whether my mind felt clear, whether I needed help or could still do things on my own. And I could. For a long time, I could. My children worried, especially as I got older. They would bring me things, packaged foods, vitamins, protein drinks. I would thank them. Sometimes I would take them. Most times, I didn't. Not because I didn't appreciate it, but because my body would tell me, this isn't for you. That's something people forget. Your body speaks, quietly, consistently, but only if you listen. Most people don't listen. They follow instructions. They follow trends. They follow what they're told is correct. And maybe that works for some people. But for me, it didn't feel right, so I stopped. There were times I questioned myself. Of course there were. When a doctor looks at you seriously and tells you you're doing something wrong, it stays with you. You think about it. You wonder. But then I would go home, eat the way I always did, wake up the next morning and feel fine. Not perfect, but fine. Stable. And that mattered more to me than any chart. I wasn't trying to live to 100. That was never the goal. I wasn't chasing long life. I was just trying to feel okay, day by day. Years passed, more than I expected. People around me started slowing down, getting sick, depending on others more. That's part of life. I saw it happen. And slowly, I became one of the older ones still standing, still walking, still remembering, still sitting by myself, making my own tea. The conversations changed. Doctors became more curious than concerned. They would ask, "What do you eat?" I would tell them. They would pause, sometimes smile, sometimes not. I don't think they knew what to do with that answer. 3 simple foods, no system, no plan, no science behind it, at least not in the way they measure science. But there is a kind of knowing that doesn't come from books. It comes from paying attention, from consistency, from not constantly changing direction. I didn't switch diets every year. I didn't chase new ideas. I stayed with what worked, quietly, without needing to prove anything. That doesn't mean I was right. It just means it was right for me. Now, at 101, my world is smaller. That happens. You don't go out as much. You don't see as many people. Days become slower, quieter. But I still have my routines. I still prepare my food, slowly, carefully, the same way I always have. There's something comforting about that, about not constantly changing, about knowing what your day will look like. Sometimes people ask me, "What's your secret?" I don't like that question because it makes it sound like there's a trick, a formula. There isn't. I didn't follow a plan. I didn't try to outsmart life. I just stopped ignoring myself. That's all it was. If you're listening to me, I won't tell you to eat what I ate. That wouldn't make sense. You're not me. Your body isn't mine. Your life isn't mine. But I will say this. Pay attention, not just once, not just when something feels wrong, all the time. Notice how things affect you, not what people say should affect you, what actually does. There's a difference, a quiet one, but important. And don't be afraid to keep things simple. People complicate things when they feel unsure. They add more, change more, try more. But sometimes, less is clearer. I'm 101 years old. I've been told many times that I was doing things wrong. Maybe I was. But I'm still here, still steady, still waking up each morning without needing much. And at this age, that's enough. Not perfect, not extraordinary, just enough.